Salut tout le monde, ici Emanuele pour Antre et aujourd'hui je suis avec l'auteur de Fabula Ultima. Hello Emanuele, how
Hello.
are you doing?
I'm good. I
Yeah?
slept well tonight, so I'm
That's awesome.
very fresh, very relaxed
Yeah,
today.
because you told me yesterday that you were here since, like you had like a long drive and a long train here.
Yeah. Yesterday I woke up 4 a.m. in the morning, so no,
Yeah.
today it's a new day.
Awesome. Is that your first salon in France or no?
It's not my time in France, but it is my first time in Lyon, and it's my first time at a convention in France.
Oh,
Yes.
really? Okay. Did you do some convention in Italy?
Yes, in Italy, usually Play Modena, which now is in Bologna,
Okay.
and Lucca Comics and Games, and
Okay.
outside Italy, Gen Con, 2
Gen Con,
years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. So, how is it to be an author of Fabula Ultima? Because I guess it's working pretty well. It has won a few Any awards, right?
Yes, we won in 2023. We won gold for best rules and best game, basically, the game
basically,
design.
just best game.
And best product, we won silver.
Oh, that's
that.
pretty cool. So, main question is, why doing like a JRPG stuff?
It's something that I tried to do already when I was in high school. I tried doing it with Dungeons and Dragons and other systems. It never really worked.
Yeah.
And then later on, after university, I began developing small tabletop RPGs.
Okay.
But in the end, I was like, maybe I can go back, to that idea that I never could do really well. Because in the meantime, no game had really,
Yeah, like clicked.
secured that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
spot. And so I decided to try it. And surprisingly, it went very well. I still find it a very unique and quirky game, so I am surprised that so many people like it.
Yeah.
But a lot of effort was put into the presentation, not just the illustration, but also, like how we present the concepts
Yeah,
of the
of course.
game. And I think that it resonated with many people.
Yeah, but what is really awesome with the game is that even though it has kind of its own distinct like style or its own distinct stuff, you can still see like the inspiration. Like I think I spotted like a few Cloud or a few Gundam or a few stuff like that that kind of creates this like familiar nostalgia in a way. Like you're familiar with characters, but it's with a new twist. So what was your main inspiration when you started all of that?
In terms like of video games and things like that?
Yeah, like
or
video games or even anime, because I guess that anime was also...
To me, I would say Final Fantasy X,
of
the
course.
Bravely Default series. And in terms of anime, I'm actually going to go really close to France. Wakfu.
Really?
Yeah. The story of Wakfu, especially the first series, is very much the kind of vibe. Like Nox, the antagonist, to me is the quintessential kind of villain figure.
Yeah.
Like the villain section of the core book is written thinking about Nox, among
That
other
makes
villains.
sense. Because by the way, excellent series, like Nox is really one of the more interesting villains, at least in this kind of animation.
Yes, the whole flashback when you learn who
this
he was,
episode is really, really
that's
awesome.
really gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
And he's also, the kind of badass, powerful villain.
Yeah.
So you feel bad for him, but you also feel good when he's defeated.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of complex feeling you want in a villain.
Yeah, but that's pretty cool. And in terms of mechanics, how did you come up with those mechanics?
Well, the origin of the game is Ryutama, which is a tabletop RPG from Japan. And actually, like, the starting point for the development was that I was in the process of doing something like this, but I began a Ryutama campaign with my group.
Okay.
And Ryutama has this shared world creation process. And the resulting setting that we made wasn't really a good fit for Ryutama, but was an incredibly good fit for Final Fantasy. And so, starting from that point, I was like, maybe we can work something out. And then there are, of course, inspirations from Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition, Burning Wheel.
Actually, yes.
as
Burning
well.
Wheel also. This one I didn't really
The structure of how I present the rule set. The idea that the rules have overlap and you can use different rules with increasing complexity to resolve the same situation. And then I would say Blades in the Dark as well, empowered by the Apocalypse.
This one makes sense also,
Clocks are a big influence from Blades in the Dark, but also the inventory point system is close to how load works in Blades in the Dark.
That's what I thought about, like with the inventory, which was actually like a very interesting way of doing things because it kind of removes the old kind of clunky way of inventory of tracking everything. Just hey, you have that many inventory points,
And
can use that or that.
yeah,
So,
and it also has the benefit that your inventory points are limited, so you can't just accumulate. Like you have to use them.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah, which is not like in Final Fantasy when you have at the end of the game you have like thousand of like those extra rare stuff.
Maybe I will need it, and like
Exactly.
it's incredible how easier some of these games are if you actually use the items that they give you.
No, I don't think so. I prefer to add everything. Yeah, I spent the worst was in Final Fantasy VII when I spent like the whole prologue just like farming the same enemy to get enough like materia to not materia but the thing to get like still their power.
That's like the people who in Final Fantasy X they do the initial combat endless times because you can't die, because they know that like the summons scale with the amount of enemies defeated, and so you can maximize all your summons from the first battle of the game.
Kind of, yes. And also Final Fantasy VII after the prologue I stopped playing because I was so sick of it. So, yeah, but anyway, back to the game. Fabula Ultima, one of the cool things about it and interesting things is that you don't really have a setting per se. It's like more like here are some pillars of what this kind of book can give. Here is how we can play like high fantasy or retro fantasy or retro tech and things like that. But you don't have a setting really here. So how come you didn't create one actually here?
The idea of not having a setting is actually because I appreciate the kind of Sakaguchi school of design for the original Final Fantasies, where every chapter was its own world, its own characters, and you never go back to it, no sequels. And I feel that there has to be a deep connection between the characters and the world, and you can't do this if I create the world.
That's true.
And I know that for many people it's challenging, and that's also why like we are thinking of providing additional support for like maybe some more frameworks, not just like the Atlas, which talks a lot about tropes, but also in this case, literally, lists of options that you can pick in order to build your world. But we still think that it's important for people to make their own mythology. I often do game design as an activism, like as a political and personal and philosophical stance. And to me, the ability that people have in tabletop RPGs to create their own mythologies, I think that's powerful in a world that is very much more interested in telling you, what to think and giving you a pre-made mythology made by somebody else. I want people to find that kind of voice within them again.
That
and
makes
I wanted
sense.
to encourage that.
Because I read a little bit the retro, the new one, the tech fantasy, and wow, one of the thematic of it is kind of breaking out of the norm, like being an outcast that's fight against the power, kind of. So yeah, it makes sense, but it also kind of works. I mean, I did like an actual play with a friend from MAXIROLISTE. We did an actual play, and it was challenging, like to kind of create this whole world, especially if you are doing like a one shot when you are not that much prepared. Like it's your first time like playing this game. It takes some time to get into it. But I think it's this kind of toolbox aspect in a way that make it interesting. And I think that with enough like preparation and having like this collaborative world building, it can be really, really interesting. So
that is also why I went with JRPGs in part. JRPGs tend to have weird words. Not everything makes sense, which is exactly what happens when non-professional writers create a world together. But that kind of weirdness and janky aspect is actually something that is wonderful to have. They are imperfect. And sometimes like the solution at the end of the plot is kind of forced, but that's okay. I find joy in that kind of imperfection.
Plus, you also have the JRPG aspect of it is that you do have some basic thematics of JRPG. Like you have this like the hero's journey when you are playing like the fantasy one. That's the one we played. Like you have the hero's journey. So at the end of the game, we expected to have like this big boss battle when you have these new powers that coming from within and things like that. So you do have like some guidelines coming from just the genre of it. But it works. I think it works. So I guess that's why you went with this kind of atlas aspect of like first a book in high fantasy, another one in retro tech, another one and so on. So I guess what would be the next book in Fabula Ultima?
So the next book in French is likely going to be the translation of natural fantasy,
Of course,
which
yes.
is the first atlas. We are currently kickstarting a bestiary in English and Italian,
Oh, the
which
one-
will likely be then the next book.
The one
after
with
that.
one of the visual artists for Final Fantasy?
We are also doing basically as part of the Kickstarter a deluxe version of the core book,
Yeah.
which has a cover by Yoshitaka Amano.
Exactly,
And,
yeah.
and we also have a deluxe box with the illustration from him. This is a very unique collaboration. I still scarcely believe that we are doing
Yeah,
this. But we got in touch with Amano years ago when Fabula Ultima won a prize in Italy in 2022.
Yeah.
He was actually there as a guest of the convention, and he was the person who gave us the award during the ceremony.
Okay.
And after that, we kind of, we kept in touch, and we were lucky enough to, have him make this illustration that we are
Yeah.
using during this campaign. But yes, so Natural Fantasy is already out in English and Italian. It will be the next book in French, I
Nice.
guess. Bestiary, and then we have announced like kind of what the future holds
Yeah.
for the game. We are doing more bestiaries. We are doing a strategy guide, which is essentially
Okay.
a book that is half philosophy on the game and half new options. Like it's more the kind of stuff that I have learned after 5 years playing this game and seeing people playing it.
Oh, I see, I see.
Because I play this game a lot. So like
Wow.
it's a challenge to myself as well, and I
Yeah.
discover new things that I want to do with it. And it's also going to be, some stuff that maybe didn't make it in the core book, but
Oh.
alternative ways to do things.
Yeah, like more
Uh,
option even to play like different ways, alternative way.
I would say it's close to what Dungeons and Dragons did back in the day with Unearthed Arcana
Ah,
books.
yes,
You
yes,
know,
yes,
and we also are trying to expand the team and maybe create a spin-off line of adventures that aren't really classical adventures, because as you said, the collaborative aspect is strong. So
Yeah.
maybe we are thinking about ways of creating packages of options for world creation,
Yeah.
for plot creation, and things like that.
Do you think you will ever do like some kind of like a campaign or like a scenario book? Do you think it will be fit?
We are very early in the development. We actually weren't even sure this could be a possibility, but the success of the Kickstarter kind of told us that we have actually, we have a responsibility now towards the game and towards the people and even towards ourselves and all the effort we put into it,
Yeah, but yeah, that's really cool. And really, when I saw in the Kickstarter like the visual from Yoshitaka Amano, so by the way, Yoshitaka Amano is one of the main, or maybe I will go in French for this one. So pour cette partie-là, donc Yoshitaka Amano, c'est l'un des artistes qui a créé les illustrations pour Final Fantasy, les premiers Final Fantasy. Donc c'est un peu une très très grosse pointure. Donc le voir dans un Kickstarter comme ça, c'est un peu
He was
Exceptional.
the original concept artist for Final Fantasy,
absolutely, yeah.
basically.
So that's when I saw the box on the Kickstarter, I was like, I think I recognize this art, but it's not possible. I mean, no offense, but you have kind of a small
Same.
ish things. You're like, what?
I'm still afraid that someday somebody will pinch me and I wake up and nothing is true.
Yeah, but that's a really cool thing. And it's kind of, this book is a love letter to JRPG, I feel. Like
Yes,
you really feel
it
it
is.
in the book. So it makes sense, and it's kind of a kind of, not a reward, but it's like being seen by one of the main...
It's recognition,
Yeah,
it's
recognition,
validation.
exactly, yes.
It's something we have tried to do since day one. We didn't want to make a game that imitated JRPGs. We wanted to do a game that was an homage, you know, like actual love towards them, and it shows, I think, in all the effort that all the people involved put into it. It's something I could never do on my own. Like I'm so lucky and I'm so happy for all the people that have worked with us on this project.
So on this, like a kind of a trap question, but what is the thing that you dislike the most about your game?
Oh, the thing I dislike the most? Well, there are plenty of things that I would change, imperfections and things like that. I'm trying to, there are a lot of easy answers about skills and abilities that could have been a lot better. I would say the thing I regret the most is in some parts of the core book, I left too much open to interpretation some of the things that you could do, like for instance, dungeons. Now after years, I know that there are a couple ways that you should do them and they work, and the rest, which in the core book I said you could try, I wasn't too sure at the time, and now I am sure of the opposite. So what I regret is I didn't have experience, but I couldn't have it, so I kind of make my peace with it, and that's why the strategy guide is going to exist as a book. It's also a way for me to say, listen, it's been some years, I've seen how the game, shines and where it doesn't, and I would also say maybe its biggest strong point, which is if you love and trust the people you play with, the game really sings, is also the main weakness. Like when you play with strangers or things like that, if your group isn't a small, very tight group of people that respect each other and love each other's ideas, the game really crumbles easily, which is in line with the, the theme of JRPGs. Because JRPGs are all about being good to each other and forming a team together.
Like the One Piece, like Nakama power, believe in your Nakama.
I mean, it's companionship, it's love, like truly love for other people, but it's also a challenge.
So I guess, would this game work with people who don't know about JRPG, do you think? Like if you have like a group of strangers, let's say that just the game master knows about JRPG and everyone else don't know, do you think this is a good fit?
It's difficult. I think this game works better for a group where everybody knows about JRPGs and they don't know anything about tabletop. That's much easier. If only one person knows about JRPGs, my big advice is go play some, maybe. But no, my real advice would be to try the tutorial. Like the tutorial is kind of built to present a lot of the immediate tropes and kind of tell you what the expectations for the on one end, the mechanical side, like a group that is built to work together, but also the drama kind of side. The villain in the tutorial is directly tied to one of the player characters. So it's not like keep the big reveal for the last session. No, do it now. Like keep pushing for drama, that kind of stuff.
But that one thing, a piece of rules that I really like, I didn't see much before, is that this ability to show what the big bad is doing, like the big villain is doing, like show it to your players. That's interesting, actually.
I believe the game is very much built on the idea that people nowadays, you don't know how long you're going to play, so don't hold your hand. Like fire your best shots. Because it's better to have something really cool at the start, which maybe is too soon for some, rather than never get to see it. And that kind of cutscene is actually a mechanic that is to keep player attention. Maybe they will get to love your villain more if you show the villain talking to somebody, and turns out they are just a person, and they aren't just an enemy to be defeated. This is a problem that is shown sometimes in classic tabletop RPG adventures where only the game master actually gets to know the backstory of the villain. I'm like, listen, the reason we love Darth Vader is because we know that he was Anakin Skywalker. Otherwise,
it doesn't work. But it's also a trope relatively common in JRPG when you have like a bad guy who is starting to get like a good guy because the story progress, and a lot of bad guys from Final Fantasy are also really loved as characters because, well, they are characters and are not just I'm a bad guy.
No, they are usually tragic figures. They are bad, but I mean, there are exceptions like Kefka in Final Fantasy VI, which is he's fascinating because he's just bad. He's utterly terrible. But it's still the result of human arrogance, But you have other characters like Sephiroth, which...
So, do you have, or do you plan to have like an open license for your game?
We do have it in English for now. It is fairly permissive. It's double duty. People can make expansions for the game, or they can make actual hacks. They can do powered by Fabula Ultima in a way, and the alternative is doing a mod for Fabula Ultima. And it allows people to copy a lot of text from
Yeah.
the books, like for instance the class abilities, because we want people to also be able to make character maker apps and things
Yeah.
like that. And we also have the font for all the icons in the book, which, by the way, the font is different from the icons that are used now, but from the Kickstarter onwards we are updating and we are
like having
using
the
the
new
same
GA
font
kind of,
for
yeah.
everything.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And this font is just open content for people. They can download it, and like they do have to make their own layout, but we have a document, a style guide in a
Yeah.
way that teaches how the importance of visual elements and also what our classical wordings for abilities and stuff
Yeah.
are. Yes.
That's so cool. And maybe a last question, what is the best thing you think it is about your game?
The best thing.
Yeah.
This is actually something that some people might consider a flaw, but I like that the character creation process and the word creation process are so varied and unpredictable that every time I sit down for a new campaign, I have to learn again what is powerful and weak in this game, because depending on the party composition,
Yeah.
a lot of abilities that maybe in the previous campaign were not really useful, now they are key. And I like that whenever I sit down, even if it's the same system, by choosing some classes instead of others, the resulting video game you are building with your friends is a completely different experience.
Yeah.
And I think this does a lot to keep the game fresh, going forward.
And that's why I think it's really interesting to have like the class that are like the jobs that are proposed. They are not vague, but they can be changed in any way. Like you have a kind of like a knight
Yes.
in like a medieval. If you want to be more tech, you can say, well, it's not a knight, but it's more like some kind of like a pilot or like a knight.
Yes,
Like flying knights.
my idea was to really allow people to mix and match
Yeah.
and to put their own flavor on top of things. As I said, to some people this is a flaw because they would like for the class itself to have an aesthetic.
Yeah.
But I think that being light on it is actually what allows the rest of the game to work.
Yeah.
I appreciate very thematic classes, don't get me wrong, but just in this game, I feel they don't work as well.
Yeah, makes sense. After that, it can also have some issues with like mechanism and like maybe balancing of things can be a bit harder. Because when we played our actual play, we had like some trouble to balance properly the enemies because, well, the first time playing, of course.
It's truly, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
I always say that Fabula Ultima is a game with a learning curve.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's, the hardest tabletop RPG
Yeah.
to learn, but I do think that it does require effort. Like, the first campaign you make, I actually suggest not making it too long,
Yeah.
because the second one with the same group is usually the best one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because
So-
the first one is a lot of trial and error. And that's actually how we are structuring the bestiary as well. We are adding a lot of advice that removes the most common pitfalls. Because we recognize that it's okay for a game to require effort and learning,
Yeah.
but if we can help, speed it
Yeah.
up, why not?
Absolutely, yes. But yeah, but I really want to do like another campaign with retro tech because that's also kind of a thematic I kind of like, well, like a lot actually. So I think I would try to do like another campaign with this thematic. So I'm really curious to see how I will do with this second attempt. So yeah, but I think that's. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I think we discussed a bunch of stuff. It was very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. That's always so cool to be able to speak with the author himself.
Thank
Because
you.
You have so much things to explain, to say, to share. So, thank you very much for your time, and also thank you for the little signing for me. That's appreciated. Love the
No problem.
fight the power. I know where is this coming from.
Yep.
So yeah. But yeah, that's it. C'est tout. Merci les gens d'avoir suivi. J'espère que vous avez apprécié cette interview. Il y aura normalement des sous-titres pour ça, donc voilà. Mais sur ce, je vous souhaite à tous une bonne soirée, journée ou le reste. À plus. Salut.